to ban which champions. It is Gambit on the blue side of your screen against Fnatic on the right side, the red side. This was the 2013 LCS Spring Split final, but two very different teams and two very different situations. Top and bottom of the table, is you've already alluded to, Crepa.
Yeah, immediate Huni ban. Familiar sight, we've seen this before. Rumble goes out, Hecarim goes out on the Huni. Target ban from Fnatic on Edwards, or Ghost of Pepper's Waters Thresh. Quite normal. Lucian taken out, I like it because it seems to be the one step pick that Forgiven performs well on. A gap closer AD carry that is still in the meta game right now. Sounds like Sivir, that Forgiven has said that he doesn't like playing all too much.
Well, we did see very similar bans yesterday from Roccat. It was Rek'Sai, if memory serves, was the final ban against Fnatic. And that meant Huni got his hands on Rise. Let's see if that's going to change today. One more ban. Gambit is going to be Kalista towards Reckless. So AD carry pools being hit a little more this game.
Yeah, Forgiven also not that notorious for his Kalista. I've never seen him play it actually. So forced to ban it because she is a very strong pick right now, especially in organized teams that work well, especially with a hard engaging support like Yellowstar that likes roaming early, can get an XP deficit because Fate Calls can always pull him back in these early fights and let him re-engage afterwards. Final ban from Fnatic coming out will be Victor. Hasn't seen that much play. We've always been talking about LeBlanc, Azir, Cassiopeia. But Betsy did play a decent amount of Victor back in the day.
He did indeed, and Froggen 0-2 on Victor thus far. Lost to Power of Evil's Cog, lost yesterday to Pepinero's Diana, but with all the picks available, how on earth do you only take one?
Yeah, you have to. How on earth do you not take one? No, possible Rek'Sai pickup early for Gambit, I could see. Betsy did well on a 0 as well. I like. Oh, we forgot about Rise.
So this is the thing, we talked all.
We had an entire Telestrator segment.
Well, Rise was available, Maokai was available, a large number. Crepa, make some sense of this. Rise very quickly locked in at the end, Azir and Rek'Sai to follow.
So we know Diamond Prox doesn't like playing Gragas. We know that according to popular opinion, tier 1 jungles right now are Gragas and Rek'Sai. Therefore, you take Rek'Sai if you're a Reignover. He's incredibly good on Rek'Sai. The first time I played against him in solo queue and he was playing Rek'Sai, I noticed that he's very good at keeping up the tempo of the game. He's always doing something, always has something in mind, and that means he never falls behind in experience. He's ganking, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. He uses ultimate, and it's so hard to keep track of him. And then stealing the Azir that was kind of hovered, kind of given away by Gambit. Not sure if it was a mind game. Febiven, obviously a good Azir player as well. And Huni doesn't have to take his pick on this rotation. He can just hide it, wait until the next draft. Yeah,
and talking about that Azir, it was actually banned out against Febiven at MSI, and we'd not seen him playing it at that point, but we obviously knew that came from scrim results or practice games leading up to the event. So Gambit have run the entire 60 seconds down. They have taken that Alistar, which I'm sure you're excited to see. They've locked in Gragas as well. I'd like to hope it's for Diamond, but Gambit ran the top yesterday.
Yeah, if memory serves correct, Edward or Ghost of Pepper, I keep forgetting that. For me, he'll always be Edward in my heart. He went for the Thresh over the Alistar yesterday, so maybe Fnatic did him a favor by banning Thresh and giving him Alistar. I think it's a super strong pick. You have to take it away from Yellowstar as well, because he's proven that he could definitely play that champion. Reckless has played a lot of Ashe. Not sure if he's going to pick it this rotation, because Forgiven's Ashe wasn't all that impressive either.
Well, let's step back and ask, what do Fnatic do against Rise? They left the champion open, they opted to ban Victor, so let's assume they've discussed a possibility, knowing that they'll get more priority picks. What do they run into Rise, as we've seen him pick up two very convincing victories yesterday?
So if you're playing into a Rise, there are two options. Either you pick a strong top laner jungler combination that Huni and Reignover can use their synergy to shut that Rise down, or at least attempt to, like we saw done against Huni where he went 0-2 early, or you try to lane swap away from the Rise, starve his farm, and don't let a Rocket scenario happen where teleport goes up to the top lane and you start snowballing on that champion. This is what you want to avoid. Ezreal locked in here, removing one more gap closer AD carry of the champion pool. Reckless able to hold his own. Might be indicating that Ezreal always indicates a passive lane. Might be saying, hey, Reignover, yes, you can spend time in the mid lane, yes, you can spend time in the top lane, because Reckless on Ezreal will always be able to farm.
Wow, Forgiven locking in the Sivir. Definitely a stylistic change for him. Everything about this team comp is run at you, go, go, go. Gragas has got some disengage, but even Betsy on Ari is going to be able to dodge around, and that's a very, what I feel, team fight oriented composition here from Gambit. I think once they group up, they'll do very well.
Yeah, definitely so. I'm not the biggest fan of Ari. We'll have to see how it plays into the Azir. There are other picks available. At least she has some mobility. Add the Sivir to her, she can take care of her own. And I've always liked Sivir with Ryze because he's a little bit immobile, but he dishes out so much damage as we see right now, and he can keep targets locked down. And a little bit mobility from on the hunt. And I like Alistar to bring it all together as a secondary tank force with that unbreakable will. If you pop it in time, you're indestructible almost in the mid-game fights, later in the game as well. Incredibly hard to take down an Alistar in his ultimate duration. So good draft from Gambit, vast improvement over yesterday. Cannot stress that enough.
Well, very happy about that. The question still stands. What do Fnatic run into Ryze? We assume that it's going to be Rek'Sai Cho'Gath as the champion. Now that both Huni and Febiven have run in the spring split, but I expect this to be most likely for Huni top.
I imagine. I don't see the value in putting the Azir top. Then again, I am not Huni. And he may well pull a little bit of a trap card here, but imagine, or assuming rather, that Cho'Gath is top lane, the way you want to shut down that Ryze is have Rain over tunnel in, do the flash knockup, followed by the knockup from Cho'Gath itself. Silence, so Ryze can't keep chaining these spells, can't keep resetting those cooldowns like Stress pointed out on the Telestrator earlier. Might be the way to shut him down, because you tried ganking him, doesn't work. You tried diving him, doesn't work. So how do you stop Ryze from killing you? Well, you'll silence him.
Well, we'll have to see whether or not Huni's Cho'Gath is going to work out. It left a lot to be desired when Fnatic ran it in the spring split. We're going to see Febiven on this Azir, which I'm excited about. And I just have to go back to Forgiven on Sivir. In the spring split, when everybody was playing Sivir towards the end, he didn't pick it up, he didn't play it. And now this is the very first time all year long he's on this wave clearing, no gap closing AD carry, which is something you were talking about in the pregame.
Yeah, but at least he adds some mobility once he pops his ultimate. And a very stylistic mismatch between these two compositions. The one side you have a very poke-heavy, kite-heavy Fnatic that's really good at walking back. Think of Ezreal's Mystic Shots, think of Morgana's Dark Bindings, think of Cho'Gath's kite potential if he lands those Ruptures. At the same time, Gambit, they want to go in, they want to go hard, they want to pop on the hunt and dive in.
And we'll see whether or not they can find those fights, Crepo. We're loading up onto the Rift for the first game of the day as Gambit at 0-3, banners lit next to Fnatic 3-0, looking to secure their first victory of the summer split. They've got Ryze.
So,
currently 2-0 on patch 510, and also just take note of the coin there from Yellowstar.
It's going to be hashtag GMB win, or hashtag FNC win. Thanks
for that, Crepo.
What is it going to be? I have no idea.
Nor do I. I'm going to let the game tell us the answer to that question. Gambit are initially doing a heavy sack. Gambo's a little bit late to this party.
Alright.
But Gambit seem quite committed to this invade.
With the change to Tormented Soil, it is now more valuable for Morgana to start bind level 1. Back in the day, Tormented Soil was incredibly good for clearing camps a little quicker, and you would basically doubting, do I start Q, do I start W on Morg? And you felt that you wasted a little bit of potential if you had to stop an invade with Q. No longer the case. Q is roughly the same damage as Tormented Soil on camps right now.
So while we did see Gambit pushing very aggressively into Fnatic's jungle, Huni replied in kind. He's got a ward, so very similar warding strategies for both respective teams. And we'll see whether or not any lane swap shenanigans come into play, or whether or not Huni's Cho'Gath, with the knockups and the silences, will be comfortable enough.
Now watch the top right of your screen and see if Gambit pings this out, because Yellowstar is about to show on that ward because he wants to get in time for that camp. So Gambit should be aware of where Yellowstar in, because that ward seems to be placed far enough.
So no ping on Yellowstar himself, but we did get pings in the bottom
they saw
and
it.
the middle lane.
They saw it, and I think if they didn't see it then, they will see it now, Trevor, because he's spot on a ward. They saw Huni as well. So complete information from Gambit. Good preparation, good coaching from Sean's there. Or good shot calling, but information's there for Gambit. Let's see how they use this information.
It's the crux, isn't it? Having all the data in the world doesn't mean anything if you can't implement the correct decisions immediately after. So we saw Gosu, Pepper and Forgiven getting both of the respective Krugs. It looks like Gosu 50% of the way to level 2. Reckless and Yellowstar did drop.
Now without Tormented Soil, you might lose the push advantage. Usually when we see an Alistar lane, they tend up getting pushed in here. Pepper going aggressive, using his stack on the range creep, not biggest fan of that. Prefer using it on melees to validate the push, but they're already level 2, so it really doesn't matter in the end. Sivir pushing in, this is the Forgiven style, this is what he likes doing. If you're not familiar with Forgiven for whatever reason, he will push you in the tower, keep poking you over and over and over again until you either cry or base, or both.
That's what he's looking to do. We'll see whether or not Forgiven Sivir can help pick up the additional weight that needs to be carried here from Gambit. And we heard from Reckless saying that he felt mechanically Forgiven was fantastic, but it was champion pool and rotational play where maybe Forgiven was lacking. And Sivir is the god of both of those. We'll see whether or not he can make it work.
Diamondprox finds Rain over. Diamondprox a little healthier on his first clear. And yeah, going back to that match, a very interesting matchup, Reckless against Forgiven. He even said in his AMA that he did not rate Forgiven in the top 4 European AD carries. Who's catching who?
We're about to find out. Level 3 against level 3. Diamond is picking the fight.
Look
He
at the
throws
damage.
the barrel down. Rainover is in trouble. It's going to have the support of Febiven, and now Diamondprox is on the wrong side of the jungle. Let's see, can Hooney find him out? Diamond may need to sacrifice himself, and he's got himself a little bit of quiet to start recalling.
Oh, he has to run. If he gets tagged right there, he can't suicide anymore.
Well, no tag from Preyseeker.
Oh, he could base right there, actually.
He's going to force to either recall or just get dropped by the Nexus turret. So, Diamond technically wins the trade with Rainover, but has to give up his life for staying too deep.
Well, let's take it back to what actually happened. Yes, Diamondprox wins that extended engage, but as we saw earlier, Febiven chunked out Betsy in the mid lane. Betsy had to use his potion very early. Wasn't sustainable enough. His lane was pushing back as well. He couldn't join that fight first, so it doesn't matter, because when both junglers are fighting each other, the first mid laner to help generally snowballs that fight, forced Diamondprox out, didn't drop a kill, didn't drop first spot, but lost a lot of tempo.
We'll see whether or not that comes back to hurt Diamondprox. Marginally behind Rainover, both of them going for the Skirmisher Sabres. As we've seen, even CS in the AD carry slot, Febiven with a small advantage middle. And this is the lane that I'm most interested in. Cabochard against Hooney, Rise and Cho'Gath.
Well, Rise is what they call a ticking time bomb, so it's fine for him to be even on CS. You can see Romaine's little daughter. And the pip cam. But on the bot lane, 36 CS even square. That's impressive, because if you get pushed into the tower repetitively, then you're expected to drop a lot of CS. Pepper goes in, shift from Reckless with respect.
Buff donated to Febiven as well, so we will keep our eyes on that ticking time bomb. It has the potential to explode once Cabochard gets a few more items. And we saw the Tia into Rod of Ages being the sort of de facto yesterday. We'll see if they continue to play the same.
Both teams, or neither team, is actually pressured by time all too much. We can wait for the on the hunt power spike when they start grouping. Rise is still the late game carry. At the same time, Fnatic, Azir, we've seen him before, can carry these late game team fights with Emperor's Divide. Febiven got his blue buff, whereas Diamondprox took it for himself. So Betsy, we've said this before, he gets less resources from his team in terms of CS share post 15 minutes, in terms of jungle attention. It's quite starved usually. Still even right now, even though the discrepancy in blue buffs. Rainover finds that pink ward.
Round number 2 between Diamond and Rainover. Rainover's going to tunnel himself out, and
Because Betsy is here first.
got the support from the mid laner. So slightly different fights, but we could see some engages happen. Febiven knocked Betsy into the river. Betsy does not have access to Spirit Rush yet. Orbit Deception goes up. Betsy still not level 6. Rainover's got the support of Hooney, as another flash from Diamondprox keeps him alive. And Fnatic invested a lot. They don't get the kills, but they're clearly in control of the pressure.
This is the first time I've seen Emperor's Divide push somebody over that wall, setting up almost a double knock-up combo. Rainover eventually flashed over, and Hooney, he followed up. So that play was called in advance. Hooney didn't magically arrive there. He walked down from the top lane. So Fnatic, they were planning something, and this is why they're lauded as one of the best teams in the European League, because they play with all their resources in sync. Yes, there's a fight in the mid lane. Hooney, can you walk down? Yes, all right, calm down. Force some flashes.
We've got both of them. So Diamond and Betsy without summoners. Hooney teleports his way back to the top lane, and Cabo's running. So TP advantage to Cabochard's Rise and Gambit.
This is the cost for that play. If you move away from your lane will be pushed in, it will bounce back. This gives you the enemy top laner time to base, and then catch that wave that just bounced back all the way instead of using his teleport. So while that seemed good for Fnatic at first, as you said, teleport advantage for Gambit in a composition with Sivir could be crucial.
We'll have to keep an eye on that Sivir Alistair lane. Febiven has been shoving it relatively aggressively, however, not chunked too much hit points off that bottom lane tower, so we'll keep a close eye on how the towers play. But Cripper, we're 8 minutes in, and both teams fairly content to play the farming game. Also, I want to note, Diamond's actually invading on the Gragas, something we didn't see him do on the Evelyn last week.
And definitely Diamondpuck's putting a lot more pressure, I like it. Going back to the bot lane, Febiven just based for a BF sword, long sword, and a couple potions in response to the Sheen from Reckless. If it's an extended trade, Febiven will definitely get the better of that. If it's short poke trades, Ezreal can shift out Boomerang Blade, land a couple Mystic shots in succession, proccing that Sheen on every trade. But level 6, you might see some action from this Gambit bot lane. Good Black Shields will be required.
So, Ghost Pepper and Yellow Star very, very close to level 6. We'll see whether or not those fights take place.
Look at the Rainover. He's trying to get behind Cabashard in the top lane.
Well, I think he's got the tools to do so. No flash, but he's just going to tunnel over. Huni has actually got poked backwards. That's the flash from Cabashard. He still gets knocked up anyway, and Rainover alone chunks a large amount of Cabashard out. But the moment Rainover showed top, Gambit started dragging.
But look, Rainover uses ulti. He's still on full resources. I don't think Gambit added this into the equation.
We'll find out. There's no soul shackles here for Yellow Star. 2 members of Gambit inside.
Pulverize was used.
Trying to find and engage. Double flash. Respect.
Because Cabashard joined the party. If we go back a couple of minutes, that teleport advantage comes in. Aggressive Gambit, aggressive Diamondpucks, and the first dragon goes down for Gambit.
Very well played from Gambit. Team at the bottom of the standings, showing up in the early game against Fnatic. Got their first dragon, and they're dealing with the pressure appropriately. Also on par with their average first dragon times as well.
And delaying Fnatic's first dragon, which is very important.
So let's take stock. With the dragon and the teleport now down for Cabashard, Fnatic will be timing that. Huni's getting closer to his. He's going to steal away this blue buff. Let's feast if he needs to. That's a resource denial at the very least, but it meant Gambit got dragon.
Yeah, trading in minor objectives on Fnatic side. They take a blue buff, take a couple of waves of extra CS, a little bit of turret pressure on the top lane. Huni staying in that lane. We'll see if Huni can capitalize on his teleport advantage. We saw Gambit do it first. Can Huni repeat it?
Well, Fnatic have shown that they can play from behind. 2 games out of the 3 that they've won, they sort of fell behind a few thousand gold, needed to play with a little bit of defensive stats. This time around, at 10 minutes, they've actually got a 1,000 gold lead. So that little bit of extra farming time from the previous dragon seems to have benefited Fnatic, and it's mostly concentrated in Huni with that 20 CS advantage.
For all you economists out there, hang on, Febiven takes a little bit of a charm. In terms of support gold, we don't get much, so we have to get the coin upgrade here on Yellow Star. He's already 100 gold ahead. Goes to Pepper. Keeping track of that. Writing it down.
Relic Shield versus the Nomad Medallion, or the Ancient
Was buffed.
Coin. Was buffed in 510. 1 additional gold from the base, and also at rank 2 additional mana and HP as well.
And the best kind of gold. Gold that you don't have to do anything to. Just watch those minions die.
Especially because you can do it from further away.
Yeah.
One of the other buffs on 510.
Febiven pressured in. Betsy doing well in this matchup.
All of that from the charm earlier. Febiven was pressuring Betsy in the early game.
And if we go back to that gank where Huni walked down, a good charm from Betsy there again, getting some tower shots on Febiven. So definitely even matchup here. Counter pick working out so far. Only 7 CS differential, but there's pressure. And I want to see Gambit use this pressure. We said it before, they had the triple push against Elements, but Diamondpucks wasn't invading. He wants revenge right now.
Something else that we also have to touch on, the fact that Diamond is working his way towards that Cinderhulk. Going to come up against the Warrior Enchant Rainover. So the tankiness that Alistair, Gragas are going to start developing as this game continues to play out. Definitely working Gambit's favor with the Sivir, with the Rise, who won extended fights.
Yeah, Rek'Sai pretty squishy early on. If she goes for the Warrior Enchantment, especially if you look at Fnatic's entire lineup, spells out more Kite, more walking backwards, throwing out skill shots repetitively, Dark Bindings, Mystic Shots, Azir poking, staying under safety of your tower. 2 towers down, resurrect a new one with Azir's passive. So might want to see Rainover actually get a little more tanky, soak up the damage, facilitate the Kite. Or Fnatic might just turn it all around and just go all in.
something they've done multiple times.
Zero hesitation.
You see Febiven in this middle lane. Dodges the charm. Charm is down! He gets Betsy under the tower! If that wasn't a Shurima shuffle, I don't know what is, but Betsy decides he wants a piece of more. Goes in with Spirit Rush. Doesn't connect Orbit Deception. Flash is available for Rainover, and he doesn't manage to pick it up this time round.
I feel he could have maybe gone for that if they timed the knockup from Rainover into the follow-up from Huni, into Silence, into Feast. Cabashar did not have Flash. Maybe Fnatic didn't time it properly because Cabashar's Flash is almost on.
Not this time around. Conquering Sands goes out there from Febiven. Doesn't connect on
Tremor Sense is spotting out Diamond Procs. And we saw why Betsy liked the Ahri pick into the Azir, because he has 3 dashes. If one of them fails or gets used offensively, at least he can...
No coin this time round. Godfred's Morgana. Small variation from the previous game. However, obviously the team comps have a big part to play in there. And we are still waiting to see Freddy joining the lane. So Werlib's been allowed a little bit of free time with those minions.
Yeah, and I feel like Werlib really was not looking to match Freddy 1v1 before the flash being down. Now, at this point, I think Werlib may be a little bit happier with regards to Evelyn actually giving, but top lane, oh, Binding has landed.
And the Igniter's ticking away.
Wow.
Abu's looking for it, summon a heal, and then Rated survives on nearly single-digit HP. You do not get closer than that.
But now they have to respect Giants here. They have so much damage down onto N-Rated. He couldn't flash away because he'd already used it on that invade. And now the Giants, with this very long-range lane for themselves, have so much presence when it comes to forcing SK away from the tower. And if Frederick can join in here as well, they may be able to get a kill. But it's bottom lane. Sven shows his face.
So Werlib is going to ward hop away. Still has flash as well. And Frederick's left the top lane. So junglers looking, but not finding anything particularly impressive.
And Evelyn didn't find any camps in the top side of the jungle either, because still haven't respawned from when Sven was there, but he's trying to get in on the mid lane for Fox. It's difficult to gank a Zed. That is one thing for certain. And it would take a monumental mess up for Fox to actually get caught out too much this early in the game against the Kog'Maw, and they'd have to use that shadow in and be very greedy about it. But he is getting harassed down a fair amount by Pepinero when you look at it. Even on CS though, Fox is just buying time to hit that level 6 mark and look to all in Pepinero with the death mark.
So we'll see how they handle themselves. Waves continue to push against SK. All 3 lanes pushing, knowing that Svenskeren needs to really get access to that Glacial Prison before he's an absolute terror for ganking. The Giants are using this early window and obviously the lack of flashes to their advantage.
So back to this top lane matchup as well. You can see the effect it's having not only on crowd control, but Alistar, because he had to heal himself up so much, it means he's used a lot of his mana. He's now waiting for it to regenerate. He also has no health potions left either. So every time they take little engages, it reduces SK's ability to counter-engage using the Alistar time and time again. But bottom lane, Freddy is caught out, no flash.
No, he's not. He's overheating though, getting some auto attacks down, and Frederick plus Werlib are looking to get first blood. Freddy still alive. First blood secured as Werlib slams down with that ice hockey pole. And they manage to make their way out. Very, very close, but it's Giants on the board.
Werlib's been watching a lot of the Mighty Ducks, because that is a very early kill picked up here in the bottom lane for this Jackson. That is not good here for Freddy at all when it comes to this, because Rumble, you need to get into these team fights being sure that your team has an advantage. If Werlib's over in a side lane because nobody can 1v1 him, there is absolutely nothing that Giants are going to want to do around objectives when it comes to fighting SK. They've just got to buy time and make sure that SK don't go for the dragon themselves, and they'll just get turrets off it again and again. Giants haven't played this style for a while though, when it comes to the LCS stage. They've been playing very differently, and Werlib has been playing a lot more tanks. So can Giants play their old style as well as they've been playing their rejuvenated lineup?
We'll find out soon enough. We do see Werlib already got that Cutlass picked up, actually mirrored by Fox. He picked his up a minute or two ago. Pepinero, he has got that early tier, so we'll see how he continues to scale his way up. Early jungle pickups as well, challenging from Frederick. Of course, Ranger's Trailblazer there from Svenskeren.
Speaking of Svenskeren, this is a different style of champion for him. We talked about how he likes to go to the Nidalee, likes to go for Lee. He's on a tank here, so less early game presence, and he's just face-checked into Frederick.
Frederick with that challenging smite, absolutely winning that trade.
This is going to give Sven a lot more freedom later into the game to play like a tank, as Greppo was putting it. Previously, he's been playing champions that need to snowball, and if you can't snowball and you're out of position, then you are going to get caught out. This time, however, Svenskeren is going to be able to stay alive a lot longer on this Sejuani compared to that that he used right last year.
So we do see that Candy Panda has been left alone in the bottom lane, as Svenskeren's helping out top. Saw and rated a quick glimpse of him in the jungle, finding Whirlib out. And Giants looking to put pressure on the top lane tower. As far as CS is concerned, it's pretty even, with the exception of those AD carries. Adri and Godfred obviously having the advantageous lane because Enrated blew that flash at level 1.
Yeah, and they haven't been pressured out since either. There's no way could Sven get up to the top side without knowing where Evelyn is. You don't want to take that engage, especially with Alistair having been so low for a lot of the laning phase. So there's a big CS lead up there for Adri.
Yeah, and it feels like Giants are doing some weird and wonderful things, because Whirlib has now gone from the jungle to mid lane. Peppy backed, so he could pick up that Ether Wisp. Yes, Godfrey's got himself some Moby boots, but again, Giants seem to be spending a lot of time moving around the lanes without necessarily being in the lanes.
Yeah, it is quite curious actually how they've done this movement across the map. As you said, ooh, Sven actually dropping low himself. Got that alert help ping. But yeah, it's very curious actually that Whirlib is now 2v2ing with Godfred against Candy Panda and N-Rated, because Whirlib is still going to have to step forward for this CS, so they have to be careful that Ricochet and Boomerang Blade doesn't do too much damage in this. But Ezreal certainly is comfortable to sit up in that top lane against Freddy. I just wonder how this is going to affect the Dragon control, and you can actually see there between Candy Panda and N-Rated a little bit of miscommunication on who was taking that binding, because Candy Panda actually used his health shield, so they have to tighten that up a little bit more if they want to do well in this game.
We'll find out if any of those communication issues do become a problem. I want to highlight that Candy's already backed and pick up that pickaxe from early on. Thrown down on the hunt. This is a teleport from Freddy as well. You see Freddy, he's going to throw down the flame spitter. Equalizer comes out, and this is a 3v3. Frederick gets the black shield because Godfred was around, and SK invest everything for nothing, unfortunately, but it does give them control of Dragon.
It does give them control of Dragon, and the play that Giants are going to do from this is Adri is just pushing top lane in response. He just uses ultimate, so no chance of a steal. I kind of like this from Giants when it comes to how they're playing this game. They recognize that they can never really fight a rumble around a dragon. They can't give away too many early dragons, though, because their composition will rely on them a little bit later into the game. However, getting turrets early is going to give Jax extra gold, and Jax with more freedom around the map because turrets are down is going to be able to split push deeper into the enemy side of the map.
Yeah, please keep an eye on Adri. He's still not backed. When this tower goes down, he should be about 2,800 so gold, 2,900 in fact. A lot of money to spend on itemization. So SK get the dragon. They do not have teleport priority or teleport control. Whirlib's held onto his. Giants secure the first tower objective of the game.
SK is sitting on a fair amount of gold as well for themselves, but with no dragon to fight for, I kind of feel like SK are going to be okay with sitting on gold for a while and just farming up. One really interesting thing from Adri is picking up this Manamune as a first item here on Ezreal. Now, what this signifies to me is that he wants to go the Iceborne Gauntlet route. Because of the way two Sheens work together in the game, you can't get both Trinity Force and Iceborne Gauntlet, otherwise they're just not cost efficient at all. So this way, I would imagine later into the game, he's going to look to pick up the Gauntlet and then kite around and just deny SK's ability to engage later into the game.
We'll see if he decides to go for that blue build Ezreal. I believe it coined last year. Was particularly popular for an extended period of time, and Adri, with all that lone farming time, still sits on that 15 or so CS advantage over Candy. Pretty much even mid, pretty much even top. And other than the tower and the dragon, it's just been fairly standard lanes. But look at this, the swap is now mirrored by SK. They've thrown Adri down bottom, Whirlib up top, and it looks like Candy Panda and Freddy have replied in kind.
Yeah, which is interesting from Freddy's perspective because he's not getting particularly far ahead, if anything, against this this Jax. And when you look at it, yes, teleport isn't available, but neither is Dragon. So now his impact on other areas of the map is a little bit diminished. But what this will do for SK is deny Adri's ability to just push in that bottom lane turret because Rumble will just clear the waves away. So now Giants really only have a couple of options, and that's to look towards that mid turret if they really want to group there, but they're actually grouping top. There's no turret or objective up here for Giants, so this is a little bit of a misplacement of where their pressure is on the map.
Well, they want to Candy Panda apparently, but they're not going to get him this time round. Reposition themselves towards the middle lane. I think they caught a glimpse of Fox recalling. Didn't actually have vision there, but if they stick around, they might get a little bit of alone time on that middle outer turret. Giants, 1,500 gold ahead. Happy to continue farming this up. Pepinero is level 9, getting closer and closer to that level 11 that we hear Power of Evil talk about so frequently. And then it's a matter of, can he land those artilleries?
And as we said in Champion Select, all Giants need is time for their composition to really start reaching their power spikes. SK, I'd like to see a couple more plays like this where they're grouping to push down these outer towers earlier on. They've not actually made a play like that. It is tricky when you don't have a read exactly on where everybody is. And with Evelyn, that's a lot more difficult to do here for SK. But now she's shown herself in the middle lane. You know there can't possibly really be 3 people top unless Kog'Maw has run all the way up there. So SK could look to pressure down the turret, but they've already left the lane, and it's Fox that's roaming himself. He's looking for Adri in this bottom lane. He has his ultimate.
Yeah, he's gonna find him. Look at the... Wow, didn't even need it. Blade of the Ruined King used, no death mark required. And Fox gets an assist on the board. Fox actually played Zed 7 times during the course of the spring split. 6 of those were victories, Stress. So a 6-1 record is fantastic. But he's given 13 minutes and only an assist on the board. At some point, it's going to be difficult for him to find targets.
Yeah, and at the same time, Giants reacted by shoving the lane in as well. So yes, it is good for... Ooh, Fox goes over the wall.
Deathmark carries Frederick in. The pop may be enough. No, because the shield from Agony's Embrace keeps Frederick alive. That Fox is actually following through on that flash and ends up now with SK having control of this middle lane.
So a very important thing happened a couple of seconds ago as SK are pushing into this mid turret. They're going to get good damage on this, but won't be able to get it quite yet. Willib used his teleport to get back to the top lane after the bottom lane engage. And that means that Freddy's going to have teleport advantage for this next dragon. And that's going to be a very key factor here because it means Freddy can either be at the dragon and then teleport to stop the Jax, or vice versa. Godfred flashes!
Oh, he tried to predict the flash and didn't manage to connect this time, but I like the confident play. It also means Candy Panda, no flash if team fights are to follow forward for Jax or Evelyn, so maybe sink their teeth in.
That's going to be a little problematic for Candy Panda when it comes to this dragon fight. As we said, about a minute away. I don't feel like Giants want to really take that dragon, though.
Well, we'll find out if they can. You can see the coaches in the bottom of your screen. Lucas and Lozark keeping an eye on their respective teams. It's pretty even so far. Maybe just stacking that T. I think he's going to pick up that Luden's Echo.
Well, at least he can remember what it is. Some of us have trouble remembering what a Luden's Echo is these days, but yes, he certainly does pick up that Luden's. Not quite level 11 though, so not able to have that extended range on the Kog'Maw ultimate, but Giants are actually